Before I get into this video completely and show you exactly how I did this, I want to preface something. This mod, it's not for everybody. Some of you are going to look at what I did and think this guy's nuts. I can't believe he cut into his car like that. And that's okay. I don't think it's that bad. To have the heater core be serviceable from now on, it's worth it to me. But some of you have beautiful cars. They're probably low mileage, and you know, you don't want to do what I did. You'd rather spend the money on an expensive heater core and have it all factory, and that's totally fine. This particular car and the life that she's had prior to coming to me, she's had a rough life, but I'm bringing her back from the dead. So being able to do what I did and figure this out for other people on this car is totally worth it. And here's how I did it. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my teeny tiny channel. If you are watching this episode, you are probably a Viper owner like myself, and you've got a bad heater core. This is a heater core I removed from my car. I've got a 1995 RT10, and you can see it's absolute garbage. Thing is just destroyed. Like most pieces of this car, this part is discontinued, and nobody's really remaking these. You can find them. They're probably very expensive if you're able to find one from someone, a used one that's in good condition, or maybe even an NOS, I don't know. Those are probably $1 million by now. In order to keep these cars running and keep them on the road, as owners and enthusiasts, we've got to find ways to kind of work around this, find other alternatives to fixing these cars. And that's what I've done. I went online and searched for a replacement that I thought could work. What I came up with is this. This heater core has the exact same dimensions as my original. Everything is exactly the same, with the exception of the inlet and outlet at the top. This new one, they're much narrower, where the old one, the original one, they were really wide apart. With just a couple simple modifications, you can actually make this fit in your car. Now, the part that everybody's waiting for. The part number. That's what you're looking for. You can get this from Summit. You can get it from a couple other auto parts places. I found this one on Amazon. It was $26 and change. This was made for a 1994 Dodge Colt. There are other years that it fits for the Dodge Colt, but if you find any of them with that part number for a 1994 Dodge Colt, that's what you're looking for, and that's what I'm gonna make work. Removing the heater assembly, you're gonna have to disconnect your AC lines. It kind of sucks if you've got a full charge on your AC. If your AC is already leaked out over the years and you're not using it, not a big deal, just undo the fittings and pop it off. To get that heater box assembly out, it's actually pretty easy in these Gen 1 cars. I think there's only about 4 bolts that hold it in. 2 on the front underneath the engine compartment, 2 on the inside that hook it up to the bottom of the dash. Once those are disconnected and all the other little piddly things are out of the way, you can pull that whole assembly out, and that's what you're gonna need to do to replace your heater core. It's actually one of the easiest heater core assemblies that I've ever taken out of any vehicle. So thanks, Dodge. This is what your heater box is gonna look like when you've got the cover off. So your AC lines come in and attach right here, and your heater core is gonna sit right in here. So here's my old one, and this is the way it was sitting in here. And these are your doors. They're controlled by these actuators down here, which operate on a vacuum. Make sure you take a picture of what vacuum line goes to which one, because you'll need it for reassembly. So on the new heater core, you'll see that the inlet and outlet tube actually sit up a little bit higher. They're about 1.25 inches taller than what is on the stock heater core. I don't think that's going to be much of a problem right now, but I'm about to find out. I apologize for the background noise. So here's the modification that I had to make. Now your stock one's going to come up right through here. Now because the inlet tubes are narrower, I had to go in about 1.5 inches on center and drill 2 new holes. I used a 1-inch hole saw to drill these. Once I was done with that, I took a file and just kind of cleaned up the edges so I wouldn't destroy my fingers. Now this valve right here originally mounts on this stud and a stud that sat right here. Obviously that stud had to go away, so I had to get out my grinder and take that off and smooth it out before I could drill my hole. So I just simply relocated it from here to here. I drilled 2 new holes. I used a metric, I think it's an M6 bolt. I have a ton of stainless bolts laying around from my days of jet skiing, and my nuts that were originally on here actually were able to be used again, so I didn't have to go and buy new hardware. The other modification I'm gonna have to make is to this cable that comes off of your AC controls. The nice thing is I'll be able to cut this plastic back, clip this, get my length, and just basically take the end of this and coil it up just a little bit, because all this does is it sits right here on this little tab. So this little loop of wire just pulls this tab back and pushes it forward. So once I get it cut to where I need to be and wrapped up, I'll set it on there. It clips in right here, very easy to take off. If you're gonna make this modification, make sure you throw a towel or something down inside the car. You don't want these metal shavings falling down, obviously on your carpet, but there's also a connector that runs out through the firewall there of wires, and it's kind of exposed on the inside, so you don't want those metal shavings falling down into that connection down there. Just cover everything up and then carefully pull it out, shake it out later on. Before I stick my new heater core in the box and assemble that and put it back in the car, I'm going to mock it up one last time just to double check the height of the inlet and outlet to see where the hoses and stuff are gonna land. I shouldn't have any clearance with the hood, but I wanna double check before I go and stick this in there for good and realize I have a problem. Final mocked up, obviously this will come up to about right there, so it's only down, I don't know, maybe less than 1/4 of an inch right now. I think I am able to use my stock hoses. I just had to kind of bend this one in on that side and it worked. This one, I'll have to fish it underneath to get to right here. There's just enough room in there. I think I can fish it in there and be okay. The real test is, can I close my hood and still have clearance? Let's find out. So far so good. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and push it down and latch it, and we'll see what happens. It looks like we're gonna be okay. I think I've solved our problem. Hood closes, didn't seem to interfere. Boys and girls, I think it's time for final assembly. Well, with any project where you're the first person to try to figure it all out, you're gonna have some obstacles. I thought I had it, but it was going too good to be true. I did run into one obstacle that I had to overcome when I was installing the whole heater assembly back in the car, but I came up with a fix, and it's not too bad. The reason these holes are elongated like that is because when you're coming up at an angle, you need the room back here for the tubes to come through before they'll slide forward when this levels out. I didn't really take that into account, so these tubes are longer and they were hitting the top of the box back here, so I could not get this whole assembly in. So I just opened these up a little bit more, and that gave me just enough room to get it in. Now, I'll go back and clean all of this up and seal everything, and it won't be so bad. And I'm willing to bet that, you know, if you end up taking on this project, there's somebody out there in YouTube land that's gonna come up with a 3D printed cover or something cool that'll just lay over that and cover everything and you can seal around it. Tons of you guys are super smart with those 3D printers. Hey, if you come up with one, send me one. To be able to make this serviceable, doing what I did was worth it to me. My poor car has been mistreated. Thankfully, she found her way to me because I'm putting her back together. I'm doing all the required maintenance and everything that's been neglected, and this car will be good to go when I'm done with it. From now on, whoever owns this car can easily remove the heater box, take this out, replace it for 26 bucks, throw a new one in here, put it back in, and be good to go. I mean, I'm saving the next owner tons of money, tons of time, blah, blah, blah. It's worth it to me. Now, I'm sure there's some of you out there that are looking at this going, I can't believe this guy just cut on his car like that. Totally fine, I get that. This modification is not for everybody. For those of us that don't want to pay $1 million for a stupid little heater core, or we don't want to pay hundreds of dollars to have one record, that's who this video is for. So to make the holes, I didn't want to make them with a hole saw again. I just used a step drill bit and kind of took it slow until I could get the opening that I needed, just enough to slide this in. Make sure you go back and file down all the edges. You don't want to slice up your hand. Now that I have everything reassembled, the last piece of the puzzle is to modify this cable and just shorten it up. So we're in the closed position. I've marked everything. I'm probably just going to remove the cable from the car and do it on the bench. Now I just need to come in and find something to seal this area off. I just need to keep water from getting down into this area. Hopefully this helps one of you guys or gals at least get your heater working again. Like I said, it's not for everybody, but if you don't mind wrenching on your car, this wasn't a hard project to do. Saved me quite a bit of money in the long run. And who doesn't love saving money? Thanks so much for watching. Stay hungry, stay foolish.